So dudes, it's 2. Yesterday we went over Acheron's leaked kit, and today we're doing the same for Gallagher this time, since quite frankly between him and Aventurine, I'd rather go over the dude who doesn't look like a complete tool first, so the video on Aventurine will be tomorrow. Alright, so Gallagher is going to be a 4-star fire abundance character, or in other words, he'll be our first fire healer in the game, something that I've personally been looking forward to for a while now. The TLDR for Gallagher is that his healing scales off of break effect, and he has an AoE ult like Luocha to put his break effect to use. Let's break down his kit now. His basic on its own is nothing special, though note that its damage scales off of his attack, which makes sense given his AoE ultimate. However, he does gain access to an enhanced basic when he uses his ult, which we'll get to later, that also debuffs his target's attack. His skill seems to be an AoE heal of some kind if these leaks are accurate, since it specifically says allies as in plural as opposed to a single ally, and his ult deals AoE fire damage based on his attack to all enemies and puts a mark on them as a debuff, I believe, for several turns. Also, going back to the basic attack, his ult enhances his basic once to enable its attack debuff. His talent says that all marked enemies take increased break damage, and whenever they're attacked, Gallagher heals himself. And lastly, his technique has him attack an enemy that deals damage to all targets and puts mark on them immediately for a few turns going into a fight. His first bonus ability increases his heal bonus based off his break effect, so there's your BE scaling right there. His second bonus ability charges his ultimate with a bit of energy at the start of every fight, and his third bonus lets his enhanced basic now heal the whole team instead of just himself when he uses it to hit marked enemies. And finally, his eidolons. His E1 advances his action forward by 100% upon using his ultimate, so that way he can immediately use his enhanced basic after ulting. His E2 further increases the break damage that enemies take based on how many debuffs they have. His E4 increases the duration of his marked debuff, and lastly his E6 increases both his break effect and, more importantly, his weakness break efficiency, which is very strong. So on the surface, Gallagher seems like he has a pretty straightforward game plan, basic until he gets his ult, use enhanced basic, and repeat, and use his skill to keep his allies topped off in the meantime. However, since I don't have all the details for his kit here, there are some things that I would like to know about him. First of all, I want to know what happens when Gallagher's ult itself breaks enemies, because remember that his ultimate puts mark on all enemies first that cause them to take more break damage. So if Gallagher's ult is the one that breaks enemies, will they instantly take the increased break damage? Because I assume so. I assume that's the case. But if it's not, then that means that ideally you have to use Gallagher's ult before actually breaking them, which, you know, that would be pretty counterintuitive, because at that point, what's the point of him scaling off of BE when he can't even use it properly? And second, since he scales off of break effect, as you can see with his traces right here, what does he want for his rope before E6? Like, remember that ropes are the only relic type in the game that has either BE or ER main stats. So does he want break effect, or does he still want energy regen like most other supports in the game do? I think that at E6, at the very least, energy regen becomes his preferred main stat, because that's when he gets, at E6 anyway, that's when he gets his increased weakness break efficiency. So getting his ult faster also means that he'll be breaking enemies faster too. But before then, I think that it might be a toss-up between ER and BE. Like, let me know what you guys think would be Gallagher's rope's main stat before E6. Some final closing thoughts here at the end. I think his E1 is absolutely necessary, and you should try going for 2 copies of him if you can. The reason why I think this is the case is because Gallagher doesn't have a burst heal ult, as in his ultimate doesn't heal but instead it does damage, so kind of like Luocha. So because of that, he's going to find himself under a lot of pressure to keep his allies healed. So if you can get him to E1, this means that he at least gains access to some kind of instant heal, since he can get his turn right back after ulting, and his enhanced basic can again heal the whole team, since he'll be hitting enemies he just marked pretty much. Unless enemies resist the mark debuff, because it's most likely a debuff like I said, in which case I guess you're screwed. At least most of his healing seems to be AoE. The only one that isn't is the self-heal that he gets whenever marked enemies get hit. Though, to be fair, it'll most likely be like Huohuo's healing, where he can't heal the entire party with this skill, just 3 out of 4 characters, which is still good, don't get me wrong, just not as good as, true AoE healing. Anyways, that's about all I got for Gallagher. Again, it seems like he'll be a relatively straightforward fire healer. We just need to get a few more details for his kit to decide how he wants to be built and how exactly he should be played, but I think that he should be a good healer, especially because he'll be our first fire healer. He's got an AoE ult, and he scales off of break effect, meaning that he has a more offensive playstyle by default compared to, other 4-star healers. Again, if you feel like there was anything I missed, make sure to let me know in the comments below so that way other people can see as well. And personally, I'm hoping that he'll be on Acheron's banner so that way I have an excuse to roll for more copies of him. But again, we'll see. And if you like what you saw here, make sure to like and subscribe for my video on adventuring tomorrow. So, see you then. Peace.